Thursday night football game. I got the highlights on in the background. I'm pretty sure Sean watched the game. Here's a little bit of my take from it at first. This was a rebound game for Seattle. This was a game they put their foot on the pedal and they said, look, this is our division. We're taking control. Kyler Murray, yes, you've been great. Yes, you've been getting a lot of rushing yards and the rushing touchdowns. And even yesterday, if you look at the numbers, 29 for 42, 269, 2 touchdowns. He was held to 15 yards rushing. I think that was a big deal. I thought the Seattle's defense played well. Didn't allow a touchdown in the first quarter. I thought that was big. They set the tone. And Seattle's offense, they were clean. Russell Wilson, 23 for 28. $197, not too much. 2 touchdowns. Carlos Hyde, you know how I love the running game, Sean. He was effective. 79 yards, 5.6 yards a carry, touchdown. Wish he would have got more than 14 carries, but it is what it is. Russell Wilson, he outrushed Kyler Murray, and I thought that was a big deal. I thought that made a big impact in the game. Just give me some of your thoughts on it. I just wanted to open up with the monologue, talking a little bit. But what are your thoughts on that game, Sean?
Well, I agree. I think Russell Wilson played, great. I feel like he played well enough. Statistically wasn't the biggest game that he had, this year. But of course, with him having the turnovers the last few weeks, it seemed like he played a little bit more safe. Only 5 incompletions, I believe. 23, 28, 5 incompletions is great. He's very efficient. And what I noticed with the game, Jansen, Thursday night was, the Seattle Seahawks, they're usually a run the ball, have the play action, and then, Russ might throw he's going to throw some deep balls. I know the first play of the game against Arizona, when they played them last time, the first play was a 50-yard ball in the Tyler Lockett. But this game, Russ was, I think it was 5 of 5. He started off 5 of 5 in the first drive, about 50 yards and a touchdown, to Metcalf. And he could have had 3, but Metcalf had dropped one in the end zone right before halftime. But, I think what Russ did this game was really, he didn't force anything. If it wasn't open deep, that's when you saw him scramble and get his rushing yards, So I was impressed by what Russ did. He played it safe. Again, the running game, like you said, with Carlos Hyde almost having 80 rushing yards, that was really effective. Because we can't forget, Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, they've been out for the last few weeks. And, although the whole mantra is to let Russ cook, you can't always be, can't air it out too much, you know what I mean? You got to at least be somewhat balanced. And so I think Seattle was balanced with their running attack. There's always going to be a close game with that division rival in Arizona. And we seen what happened. When you have a decent running game at least, and, you let Russ continue to, make his plays that he can, and he's not turning the ball over, Seattle can still be, a deadly team offensively. And I'll say as well, Seattle played very well defensively as well, only giving up 21 points. We know they had struggles in the past, most of this year. But if the defense can step up, man, Seattle can be a force to reckon with.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Sean. I'm glad you brought up the defense. Look, the Cardinals only had 57 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. That's not good compared to Seattle's 165 yards rushing. And you played running back, Sean, so I know we see eye to eye when we talk about this. But the running game is so important. Why is it? Let's go to time of possession. Seattle held the ball 35 minutes compared to Arizona's 24 minutes. What does that tell me? That tells me Seattle has controlled the ball game. And it tells me, thank you, Pete Carroll. Thank you, the play calling, for not putting it all on Russ. I like when Russ throws under 30 passing yards, or let me say under 40. I don't want to be disrespectful because he can do that. I just like when Russ...
Pass attempts?
Yes, I like when those pass attempts are around 30, 35, maybe 40. Why? Not saying he's not elite. Obviously, he's elite. I'm not arguing that at this point. I'm just saying I don't believe in quarterbacks throwing 50, 60 times sometimes. Let's get a balance. Let's show defense. Yeah, let's let it, and maybe I'm being biased by it, but you saw it with Seattle. There was no interceptions for Russ, and there was interceptions in the last couple weeks. And I think a lot of it was the running game. They're taking it off of Russ's shoulder, and a lot of it was stopping the run. This league, if you still stop the run, which they did, only allowing 57 rushing yards, and when you can run the football, great things can happen, and that's what we're seeing out of Seattle. this was a game, this was one of those games where it's like, you know what? There's been a lot of talk. I've been talking a lot in the media, man. I've been talking a lot about how Russ has been throwing interceptions and things like that. Yep, but at the end of the day, I was proven wrong again by Russell Wilson. I think he's great. I'm just call out when guys don't play that well. And Russell Wilson, this is one of those games where it's like, look, it's still our division. They took care of things, and it was a great overall performance for Seattle. And this is Russ going back to what he's doing. This is still putting him at the top of, in my opinion, the MVP race. I gotta throw it in there, man. I know we talk about MVP like every day, but after this performance, pretty clean by Russell Wilson, do you have him as your MVP right now, or does Mahomes still have the edge? I know he has 25 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Chiefs only have 1 loss, or do you have Russ ahead, or others?
Jansen, I feel like it's still wide open. I think, when I think of MVP, I think of a guy that's just killing every game, So like how we seen Lamar Jackson. Although Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson, at least the first half of the season, when we're battling, nip and tuck last year. Then Lamar just took over the league, ran for over 1,200 yards as well. His 36 touchdowns last year. So when I think of MVP, I think of someone who's just killing each and every week. And it seemed like Russ started like that. Again, I know he got back on track this past game, but I feel like Russell's definitely in the MVP conversation. But to me, just because MVP, I feel like you got to somewhat be, you got to nitpick certain things. I feel like it's still wide open. I think Russ definitely has a case. And 25 touchdowns and 1 interception by Pat Mahomes. I say it's still wide open because even with those stats of Pat Mahomes, it's like that's a great statistical, that's great stats. But I feel like everyone's not necessarily hooping and hollering over Patrick Mahomes. If you know what I'm talking about, like it's like he's still playing great. He's doing his thing, but is the MVP worthy? Yeah, statistically, but I feel like I can see this a little bit more plays for Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's not playing bad, but when I think of MVP, I think of something we haven't seen before, like Lamar Jackson last year. Cam Newton 2015, running all those touchdowns and with the passing. So for me, man, I still do have Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson in the MVP conversation, but I might chicken out right here, man. And I'm gonna say it's wide open, bro. It's to be determined because Patrick Mahomes, Sunday night against the